season of A Little Divine Magic, part of the Angels and Destiny show. Now, you may be wondering why this extra feature. Well, from time to time, I invite returning guests to share something new, exciting, and soul led with you, whether that's card readings, energy work, sound healing, or other spiritual practices, each one bringing a little divine magic into your life. Now, before I introduce you to my wonderful guest, Anna Frolik, I would like to say thank you so much for watching this live at a later date, as it means so much to both of us to connect with like minded souls on this journey. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy and a spiritual guide and healer who is passionate about helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step into your purpose. Now, through angelic Reiki, angel and oracle cards, guided meditations, and exploring past and future lives, I support you in healing your past and creating a soul aligned future. Now, my own journey has taught me with the right tools and guidance, we can all connect with our higher selves, embrace transformation, and live a life of abundance and fulfillment. Now, today's episode is very special because I'm joined by Anna Frolik, intuitive guide, author, artist, and founder of Wonderland Publishing. Now, since childhood, Anna has felt a strong connection to the elemental and angelic realms. Through her work, she helps others reconnect with their inner magic so they can create a life filled with freedom, abundance, and purpose while sharing their unique gifts to the world. Now, Anna is here today to share her brand new Oracle of the Magical Fairy Forest deck and journal, which she's currently launching in Kickstarter. So Anna is going to tell us a little bit more about the journey of creating the magical deck, pull cards for anyone who's watching live, and later guide us through a beautiful practice inspired by one of her journal's chapters. But before we dive into this magical conversation, just a gentle reminder, feel free to share this video, ask questions, leave comments, and join the conversation. We would love to hear from you. Anna, welcome to A Little Divine Magic. It's so lovely to have you back. How are you today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ray, for having me on your show again. I'm so excited to be here and so grateful for the opportunity to share my new creation with the world and just, sharing some cards and readings today. So that's the main purpose of this call. But really excited to be here.
Excellent. Only gives me another little offshoot to the show as well, as little ones every now and again to give something back to the audience. So, Anna, why don't you? Well, would you like to start by sharing a little bit about the inspiration behind your new Oracle deck and journal?
Yeah, so it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it fairly short. So, as you already mentioned, I've always had a pretty strong connection to the other realms, including the angelic realms and also the elemental realms. Ever since I can remember as a child, I loved fairy tales and everything magical and mystical. And about, I don't know how many years ago, like let's say about 15 years ago, I had started my first business about a year before then. And long story short, I took what I knew from corporate and kind of started succeeding, pretty quickly in my business, but I hit a wall after about a year where I just felt like something was missing, and I was still kind of in the corporate world because I was still working with corporate clients. And so I started exploring and asking deeper questions about my path and where to move from here, and that resulted in a full-on spiritual awakening, which very rapidly took me on a new path of doing intuitive work and healing work. And so I started working with card decks, among other things. And as a creative person, then I had the idea pretty quickly to start creating my own card decks as well. So I created my first one in 2012, shortly after I came back to Canada. And then I'm going to jump a little bit to 6 years ago. I made a big change in my business, and I started working with other spiritual entrepreneurs and authors to help them create their card decks. And so we've probably collectively with my team created over 60 now, and which was a really beautiful, fun learning experience. And I got to see all the many aspects of creating and producing and publishing and all the things, printing, marketing, launching, all those things. But yeah, what kind of quietly started happening in the background too was that I started feeling a bit disconnected from my own creativity because all my energy was going into helping my clients birth their card decks into the world. And I still had a lot of ideas of my own and things that I wanted to create, but I just didn't really have the focus or the energy, to really dedicate my time to that. But then about a year ago, or it's actually been less than that, we were, my partner and I were house sitting, or pet sitting on a beautiful private island in northern Ontario. We're looking after two goofy poodles, and it was just a really magical world. It's a small island, and there were no other houses there, and there was a lot of moss and trees and mushrooms and crystals, and we did some medicine work there too. We did a medicine journey, and I already felt that something needed to shift on my path, but then it just came through all of a sudden very clearly. Okay, it's time to start creating the deck. It's going to be a fairy deck. And then I started creating immediately. I started bringing through the messages and the concept for the cards, and I asked my illustrator, Anna Frolik, who had already worked with me to create quite a few client decks, if she'd be willing to support me on this journey, and she said yes. And so we started bringing this to life.
Yeah, and I remember seeing lots of posts that you were doing on Facebook where you were going for all these walks out in the nature, and and they were so magical themselves. I mean, were they inspiration as well for the cards from those walks you went on, because they were amazing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm just I feel like I'm an incarnated elemental being, or it's a big part of my soul. I feel we're all different kinds of energies, and we have different aspects of our being. And I know I'm an explorer soul, so I've been in many different realms, but I definitely feel really close to the elemental realms, and I feel really connected to nature, especially when I lived in British Columbia for, quite a long time, more than 10 years before I came here to Ontario last year. It's just that kind of world. There's these beautiful old growth forests with so much moss and ferns everywhere, and it's almost like you can literally see the fairies sitting dancing on the mushrooms. And so I feel like all of that has definitely, well, not just inspired my work, but also helped me stay in touch with, that part of me. And but it's definitely, the deck is inspired by my journey in a lot of ways. You'll see a lot of cards. I might share some stories behind some of the cards. Like every card has a story behind it, and there's something in my real life that inspired it. So.
Yeah, cool. So I think before we do that, if anyone's watching, Anna will be pulling a card for a couple of people later. So if you'd like a card, please say you'd like a card. We can't guarantee everyone will get a card, but if you'd like one, then please do say you'd like a card later when we do the cards. And Anna, whilst we're waiting for that, on the bottom of your screen where you've got the little wheel icon above your picture, if you click on that, and underneath your camera it's got mirror camera, switch it off, because if you switch it off, the cards will then show the right way round when you hold them up.
Perfect. I think I've done that already.
You have. I saw you switch around. And that. So, whilst we're waiting for anyone to say that they might want to have a card, why don't you just share some of the cards with us so we can see what they look like and the stories behind them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd
Because
love to do that.
they are fascinating. I mean, I went to your Kickstarter party and you were showing the cards then. And I was like, oh my God, they are so beautiful. I've already got my deck. I've already been part of the Kickstarter. I'll be waiting for my deck to arrive.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I already showed you the box, but this is just kind of what it looks like. You can open it on the side, and then it's got some creative things in the box too in the design. And here's the guidebook. And so the guidebook is fairly simple, just with short messages. I'm already seeing some comments there. So written messages, no images, but then there's the optional add-on, which is a companion journal. I'll show you more of it later, I think, when we do a little practice from the journal. So that's a full color book. And then the cards. So here's the back. And here's some cards. So yeah, here's one of my favorites. This one was inspired by a medicine journey as well. And I know you love this one. It's the Tree Friends, Tree Wisdom card. And I know there's a bit of a glare here on the screen. I hope you can see the images okay. I'm just going to maybe just go through them a little bit faster and just see if there are any that I want to show you. So there are lots of fairies in the deck. It is a fairy deck, but I also felt inspired to bring some other elemental beings and other, animals and trees into the deck as well. So here's one of my favorites. This was really fun to create. This one, the Goblin Show. It was inspired by a movie.
Well, goblins
here's
are
another
real.
one. And here's the Medicine Journey card.
That's beautiful.
This is inspired by like my partner and me.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And of course, we need to have an Infinite Abundance card in the deck.
Of course.
And I'm sure you remember this one.
I do, yes.
And here's one of my very favorites. This is the last card in the deck. So it's a 44 card deck, and we do have a stretch goal currently in the Kickstarter, which I'm pretty sure we're going to hit maybe within the next week or so, but definitely by the end. So if we hit that goal, then we'll add another card just for the Kickstarter backers. But right now, this is the last card in the deck, Guardian of the Fae. I just love this one so much. It's so beautiful. And the Magical Adventures card, inspired by all of my magical adventures. There's actually a tent behind her. You can't really see it, but inspired by my love of camping and nature. And here's another one. There's so many favorites. I feel like when Anna illustrated this card, I could really feel like she tapped into something there that it just, I feel like this is a real being that exists somewhere, an earth elf or a cave elf.
Yeah. So here's a quick question. So how did she come up with the pictures? I mean, when you look at the pictures on the cards, are they what you saw when you were creating? You know, how did that process work with you two together?
Yeah, so I created a pretty detailed illustration brief for her, and yeah, let's say, everyone's different, and I've worked with a lot of clients on their decks, and everyone has different ways of bringing through their visions. But I was definitely, I'm very visual myself, and I've done, artwork and graphic design as well. So I had pretty clear visions for a lot of the cards. For some of them, I gave her a little bit more freedom just to, bring through whatever she felt inspired to create. And sometimes I maybe had a clear vision written down, but then something just kind of flowed out of, out of the blue, but not randomly. So, and then it was perfect too. But yeah, I feel a lot of them, I had a pretty clear idea of what I wanted to see, and then she just worked her magic and added the details, and I mean, there were some cards that we had to go back on as well, and some flowed a lot more easily, and
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So did you download the messages for the cards? You know, how did those messages come about?
So for the most part, they're really inspired by my journey. So these are some of them more recent experiences, and some of them like really embodied lessons I've learned on my journey. And it's been a long journey in this life, and then also my soul wisdom coming in from parallel timelines and lifetimes. But yeah, I feel maybe compared to other decks that I've created, my first deck, the magical heart healing cards that I started creating back in 2012, was a lot more channeled. Like, I was receiving the medicine that I needed for my journey at the time, and it felt a lot more like I was downloading from spirit and from the guides I was working with at the time. And I hadn't yet really integrated that medicine in my own life. I mean, some of it maybe, but this deck is a lot more integrated already. When I received the inspiration, it was like, okay, I've learned this, or I'm learning this right now, or I've learned this lesson over and over again, and it's something that I feel is really important to share. So yeah, but I mean, there's always more that comes in along the way as well, and some little surprises, and yeah, but that's kind of the essence of it.
Yeah. Well, as we know, I normally do card readings on my show, but this is your show, so this is you doing your cards. So two people so far have said they would like a card. So Janeki would like a card. So why don't you pull a card for Janeki so we can get to see the cards in action?
Okay, and feel free to ask a question if you want to, or you don't have to. I can just ask for a general message as well. Just going to take a moment to.
Yeah. So Janeki and Peter, because you've asked for a card as well, if either of you have a particular question you want to ask them, please do type that in. Otherwise, it will just be a message that just comes out from the cards.
Okay, this is funny. So, Janeki, this is the card that I just showed you last, I think, the Cave Dweller. And it's interesting, too, this one actually came up in my weekly card pull on my YouTube channel as well for this week. So this seems to be an important message. So it's number 16, the Cave Dweller. Retreat from the busy world, find insight and stillness. So, first of all, the energy that I'm getting from this card is really about, it's very earthy energy. So it's not just about withdrawing or retreating from the world for, meditation, reflection, but it's also about really grounding back into the body and being present in the here and now, so that we can really feel and receive the wisdom that's already within us, rather than searching in the mind and kind of trying to figure things out. So this really simplifies things and reconnects us with the simple truth that is already within. And one thing that stood out when I was doing the card reading for the week was the candle here. So this is about illumination and really bringing to light something, again, that's already there, but that we may miss if we're just too busy out there doing things and running around, whether it's mentally or physically. But this is encouragement to really take time to slow down and really reconnect and anchor into the present moment. And then, yeah, you'll realize that whatever you're looking for it's a lot more simple than you perhaps thought. It's already there. That makes sense.
Yeah. So let us know, Janeki, if that makes sense for you. Oh, and Janeki says, yes, that's just what I need. Absolutely perfect. And Peter actually has a question. I would like to know if I'm on the right path as a medium and self-healing. And he says it's a beautiful deck. It is a beautiful deck.
Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna have the deck at some point.
Okay, I'm just gonna shuffle for a moment and tune in.
And if there's anyone else, you've still got a chance to have a card pulled by Anna. So do say that you'd like a card if you'd like one.
Maybe not the one you want to hear, but this is such a beautiful one. This is a really important lesson that I've learned on my journey, and it may seem, to the logical mind, sometimes it may seem frustrating to hear this answer, but it can also be very liberating. So it is number 19, the unknown path. Embrace the journey, trust the natural unfolding. So this is really encouragement to not question too much, but just to be in the present moment and focus on focus on the next step that feels right, what's in front of you right now, and trust that, as you take that next inspired step, the next will come and the next will come. And so the more you can trust what feels good to you in this moment, what feels right to you, not just mentally, but in your physical body, like we all have that built-in guidance system, the more you can trust that you're always on the right path. I mean, we're never really on the wrong path because we always learn something, but also on a more human level, we're here to have the human experience, but also we can learn to tune into, not just what's guided by our soul, but when we connect the two realms, ultimately both realms, all realms, everything is connected, then we can bring that into the physical experience more. And so trust the path. And also maybe what's coming through as well, if there are any fears around maybe not being supported on this path, or any fears that may be coming up. And I know, I made this transition a pretty long time ago when I started working with the other realms and doing card readings and intuitive work. It's not always easy, and a lot of us have baggage from our past lifetimes as well that just brings up random fears. So this is, this is an invitation to, stay present with those fears as well, and not run from what's coming up, but ultimately know that the more present you are with what is in front of you right now, then the easier it will be to kind of tune out the noise and just know that you're always on the right path.
And Peter said he understood that. And so I know both Janeki and Peter, what you said for both of them really is spot on. And and Janeki says, "Thank you, Anna. You are correct with your reading. Thank you." And I can see we've got some people watching, but obviously they're a little bit shy. So can I have a card, please?
Absolutely. And if anybody else wants a card, then just, you don't have to ask a question. You can just let me know that you want a card. If you want to ask a question, you can. I'll still be here for a bit, so I'm happy to pull cards for anyone who wants one.
And I just, as always, just want to know what I need to know. What's the fairy realm want to tell me? What guidance they think I need?
What if I pull the same card for you?
That would be so funny.
Let's see. Okay.
That card came out again.
Okay, fairies. What do you want Ray to know today? Okay, well, this is an interesting one. It's not the same that we got last time, but there's a heart on it too.
Yeah, we did get another heart.
It's number 35, Unchained. Set yourself free. Nothing has power over you. So this might feel sometimes more like a bit of a darker medicine, but it's also really powerful, and ultimately it's about liberating your true power, and also bringing together the light and the dark aspects, knowing that they're all part of you, and expressing whatever wants to be seen and felt, and ultimately it's about being honest with yourself as well, especially in a very human way as well, and liberating those parts of yourself that may be feeling trapped, and sometimes it can be a very physical thing, and sometimes it can just be as simple as remembering that you always have the power, and it's in the present moment, and you don't need to wait for anything to change externally to set yourself free. So it's always a choice that you're making in each moment, and a truth that is ultimately always there.
Yeah, beautiful, and confirmation, So that's that's absolutely brilliant. So thank you for that. And as no one else is putting their name forward, let's talk about the journal.
Yes.
'Cause it's one thing creating a deck, a card, an oracle deck, but then on top of that, you decide to create a journal to accompany the deck. You don't have to get both together, but if you want that extra thing, and journaling as well, which is something we all should be doing more of.
Yeah, so the journal started coming through once we were done with the deck after we had sent it to the printer for the first test print. And then all of a sudden I just got this really clear inspiration that I should, well, I wanted to create something a little bit more with the illustrations. It's something that my graphic designer had suggested previously when I started designing the guidebook, and I just felt like I wanted the guidebook to be really simple, no images or very minimal. But I've seen those beautiful guidebooks that are like full color with the illustrations coming out really beautifully, and then all of a sudden I just felt like it would be potentially really helpful to have another tool to work with. So receiving the guidance from the guidebook, or from your own intuition and all that is really helpful. And if we can really listen to the guidance that ultimately comes through our own being, that is beautiful. But sometimes it's also helpful to have some practices that we can implement to embody the wisdom more of the card or the message, and also questions that allow us to go deeper. So I'll just show you an example here. So here we have the magic mirror card, or the entry in the journal. And yeah, so this is basically the first page of each of the entries. You'll see the illustration and then a short message. It's not the same as you'll find in the guidebook. It's just a little bit more simple, and something just came through in a more poetic way as well. Then there's a magical ally for each card. I felt inspired to give all the characters names. And then there's a little ritual or practice that you can implement on your journey. So some of them are more like spiritual practices, like visualizations or guided meditations or little healing rituals. And some of them are more practical to like really embody the wisdom in your physical life. I feel like both is really important. And there's an affirmation for each card. And then there are journaling questions for each card. There's a blank space you'll see here, where you can just journal freely. So each card has that. And then there's at least 3 additional questions to dive deeper, and some of them have more questions. There are some cards where I felt like we just needed space to go deeper, like especially some of the more shadow work related cards. I feel like it's helpful to like really dig deeper. Yeah, so that's basically how the journal is structured, and you can use it in combination with the deck, or you could even use it on its own. And as Ray already said, it's an optional add-on, so it's not included in the deck by default, but if you want something a little bit more that's also really pretty, you can get the journal as well.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. So why don't we do something from the journal?
Okay.
Let's do an exercise from the journal, because I think that'll be pretty cool.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull another card from the deck, and it's gonna be for everyone watching the videos. It's for everyone live here with us, for the 2 of us, and then also anyone who might see this later. And that'll guide us to the practice in the guidebook and the journal. So we got the Snow Fairies card. I love this one, of course. This is the one I pulled for myself at the launch party, and it's been a really good reminder. So this is okay. I'll read it first. It's number 30. Snow Fairies: play and have fun, create with joy. So this is really about the joy of the inner child. And I don't know if I shared this story behind it on our like launch party call, but yeah, I've actually felt inspired by the winter here in Ontario because I lived on the West Coast for a really long time, and when I came here, I felt like, oh, I'd really love to, see some real snow this winter, and yeah, I know my inner child really loves snow, and so I kind of set the intention to manifest some snow, so to speak, and then we just got like the craziest winter that anybody's ever seen here with like 20 feet of snow, not at once, but but in one weekend we got like, I don't know, 5 feet of snow or something, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like we actually ended up with a state of emergency. We ended up with a state of emergency here in my town specifically. So be careful what you wish for.
So if the town wants to blame anyone, it's Anna for manifesting the snow.
Yeah, I kept hearing that the whole winter. Watch your manifesting. But anyway, this is just a side note, fun little story. But let's find the practice in the guidebook. So it's number 30. Yeah, one thing I still gotta remember to add for the final version. I actually forgot to include the numbers in the journal. So I'll have to do that because they're not in alphabetical orders. And they're a little bit hard to find. Okay, so we got the snow fairies here again. You can see them a little bit better maybe.
Yeah.
And I'll just read everything. So, meet each day with joy and cheer. Play like a child and be merry no matter what comes your way. Don't take anything too seriously, for all is just a game. The more fun you allow yourself to have, the more delightful the journey becomes. And the word, so in the word delightful, the word light is highlighted. So that's really important. I'm just seeing a missing word here too. I'll have to fix that after this. And then the ritual for this one is actually really, really simple. So this is one of the more embodied practices. It's not a visualization. It's just no big ritual needed. Simply go play and have fun. No matter what you do, make sure you enjoy it. Do plenty of this as you move forward on your journey. So whatever you do, approach it with a light and joyful heart and play like a child. The inner child really has the key to the magic and really accessing everything through the heart and kind of our innate inner wisdom that we still have about who we really are, and really taking things playfully and lightheartedly helps us to reconnect with that magic in a very direct and practical way. And it really, yeah, like you could also say it raises our vibration and kind of brings in things more quickly through that as well. But it also, because it's a heart-centered energy, it's going to be like you can't do anything wrong. It's like you're just playing, you're in the moment, and you're not going to have maybe some of the side effects I might have with certain other manifestation techniques where you create the thing that you want, but then you also get to experience the opposite. It doesn't matter to the child. It's just, you're just here for the sake of playing and experiencing, and that's where the fun is. So the affirmation is, I create with a joyful heart. And then the journaling questions. So we might want to go a little bit deeper here, either now or you can journal later if you want. So first question, where is the joy missing in your life? And it may seem really obvious, but I feel sometimes like when we've been taking life so seriously, we might not even realize like how disconnected we are from that magic of the inner child. And yeah, like especially the medicine journeys that I did last year really helped to highlight that a lot. It's like, you're taking everything way too seriously, and like you're worrying about so many things that don't even matter. and doesn't mean that, we shouldn't take certain things seriously when they come up, and so please use your discernment. But yeah, I feel like it's really important here to, again, reconnect with the body and really feel, okay, so where may I be living a life that seems normal in a way. I've grown used to it. I'm just kind of running the same routines every day. But actually, if I'm really honest with myself, I'm not really enjoying, I'm not really having fun. I'm just kind of running on autopilot. And so bringing that element of joy back in there really helps to liberate and recreate a sense of being fully alive. Then another question, what is draining your joy? So again, this might be really obvious. You might already know it, or you might have to go a little bit deeper and also observe as you move forward on your journey. What am I actually saying yes to that is not really bringing me joy, that's kind of draining the life force out of me? And know that you have permission to choose a different path. If, for example, somebody asks you to do something that you don't really want to do, that's just draining your energy, you have permission to say no. And that's been a really, really important practice on my own journey. And it's really, it can take a lot of courage, but it's life changing. Like once you start paying attention to that. So what are all the ways that you allow your joy to get drained, and how can you make different decisions and be more honest with yourself ultimately to reconnect with your truth on that level? And then, of course, how can you bring more joy and playfulness into your work and life? And here you can just get creative. So there are no limitations, no rules. You just go wild and crazy and have fun with it.
Yeah, and it's interesting those questions as well, because if you think back to children, or when you were a child, or children you have around you at the moment, they have no fear of saying no, I'm not doing that. They'll just go ahead, with curiosity, openness, and, well, what if, um,
Yes,
no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this.
absolutely. And I think it's a really great example of, like, we really come into this world knowing who we are. And yeah, like, I've seen this with animals too. My partner and I have been doing a lot of pet sitting, and they'll just tell you, and it's not like, you don't take it personally if an animal tells you, okay, I don't want to go for a walk right now, or you forgot to give me my sardines for dessert and things like that.
Yeah,
And
or the cat
they'll be
turns their
very
back on
straightforward
you.
about it, or yeah, they'll tell you, but
Yeah, cats definitely don't have any. Well, my cat definitely doesn't have any fear of saying no to anything.
yeah, or they'll swat you too.
I-
Or
Exactly. So, has anyone got any questions that they want to ask Anna about the cards, about fairies, or anything before we move further on in the show? So, I was waiting to see if any questions come through. Anna, is there any final message or piece of guidance you'd like to share with those watching, whether here live or the replay?
there's not really anything coming through right now. I feel I already said the most important part, but maybe the only thing that's coming through too, if that's kind of a message that's been repeating itself with everything that's happening in the world right now, it may be tempting to go into this energy of feeling like, oh, there's so many people suffering. How can I be joyful? Or it's kind of not right to be happy, or almost feeling guilty for embodying this kind of energy. But just know that, I mean, first of all, we're all connected, and what we can consciously choose the vibration that we want to cultivate, not just for ourselves, but when we embody this or whatever we want to embody, then we also kind of help to bring that into the collective, and we upload it in the collective. So it's really important right now to have that balance as well. And if you're someone who can be that really easily, like for me right now, it's really easy because I'm just really happy in my life. And like I've just gone through so much healing in the past year, and like sometimes I catch myself like feeling a little bit guilty, and then you know what, this is really important. It's important to have people who remember why we're actually here, and not buy into all the drama and just amplify it, and just kind of stay anchored in the truth of our being, and then help to create that ripple effect as well. So if anybody resonates with that, then
it's something I kind of like embody myself, and I'm always talking about it. Yeah, I feel for people that are going through things, and it's sad and it's hard and it shouldn't be happening, but I know that if I can stay in that higher vibration, that higher energy, that joy, that love, then and that has an effect on another person. It does create that collective consciousness that takes over all that darkness that's going on. The more of us that stay in that joyful state. So that's really sort of like good advice for people. And as we were just talking about animals, Janeki says, that's funny, I love animals, and she does. She's got several herself.
Aw.
Which is absolutely amazing. So I hope you've enjoyed this magical session as much as I have. I mean, the cards are just amazing, and so is the journal. So Anna, for anyone who wants to connect with you, follow your work, or support your Kickstarter to get the cards when they come out, how can they do that? And tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter.
Yeah, okay, so there are a few things here. First of all, if you're here live or probably watching it later too, you'll see this really long link at the
I
bottom
will
of
put
the
it in the comments
screen.
afterwards.
So on YouTube, you might just have like a clickable link. That's going to be easier to access. But also, if you're listening to it somewhere, you could just go to one of my websites, either annafrolik.com, frolic with a K at the end, or wonderlandpublishing.net. And right now you'll find a link to the Kickstarter on either of the home pages. So that'll take you directly there too. And yeah, so the Kickstarter we're I think 14 days in now. So we're almost halfway through, and there's still, about 2 weeks to go. And we've been doing really well. I'm really grateful and happy it's taken off so quickly. And so if you want to support the Kickstarter, then like you have the advantage of being the first to get the deck. Also, there's some other add-ons that you can include. The journal might actually end up being a limited edition, so if you want the journal, it's probably best to get it now. Then there are some other things that we've created too. We're also working on setting up an online store, the Magical Things shop, and a few items that will be in the shop are available for early access in the Kickstarter as well. But yeah, I'd recommend just going, clicking the link. It's a long story. It'll show you all the rewards that are available, the whole backstory, pictures of the cards, all the other rewards, and so you can go check it out. And if you have any questions, you can reach out as well.
Yeah, and it is, obviously I've been part of the Kickstarter, and there was just so much information on there about the cards and everything, and what you can get and offers and stuff like that. And it is, if you get in now, you get the cards early enough, and Janeki says, yes, I want to buy your cards and journal.
Yay!
Yeah, get
Thank
get
you.
get get in get into the Kickstarter, because I think once once they've been published, there's going to be so many people that are going to want, and they're going to want them afterwards when people start doing the YouTube reveals and all that with the cards. That you might start finding it difficult to get hold of them because there'll be so many people that want them. So get in as early as you can with the cards. So as no one else has asked for a reading, we will wrap up the show. So thank you very much for those that have watched us live, and especially Peter and Janeki for actually asking for a card. And thank you so much, Anna, for doing the card reading for us and sharing the journal and those questions. And if you're watching this on the replay, those cards that were pulled individually for us, they also can mean something to you as well. Then, maybe one of those cards pulled, you actually go, oh, actually, that could answer a question in my life at the moment. If that happens, go with that. Because, quite often when the cards come out, they come out for everyone on there. And obviously the snow fairies, as Anna said, she pulled that out on her YouTube channel. It's come out again. So obviously that message is really, really important. So, look at that cards again, do the affirmation and journal on the questions. And if you want to put in the comments or message me or Anna privately, then you're more than welcome to do so. And of course, as always, if you are feeling ready to connect more deeply with your soul's purpose, heal and step into your destiny, then I'd love to support you. You can book a free soul path discovery call with me. Simply message me directly to explore your path forward. You'll also find some free gifts to support your journey linked in the comments after the show. And again, thank you everyone so much for joining. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share it. There are so many others who may need a little divine magic in their lives too, and need this deck of cards, this fairy deck of cards, because I've been looking around for. And it was brilliant when Anna said she was going to do it, because as people know, I've been looking for a fairy deck for ages, and I've looked at all of the ones out there and not one of them sort of like jumped out at me. But then when Anna started showing hers off, I'm like, oh, now that one is jumping out to me. So, these things always come to us when we ask. And of course, don't forget, if you have been watching this on YouTube, then don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you can be notified of future episodes, my main show, Angels and Destiny, and all my guided meditations. And as you know, every time you like, share, comment, subscribe to anything I offer, to Anna's channel, which I'll also put in the link, or any of my guests, then you really create that beautiful ripple effect of getting our message out there and lifting the spirit of everyone and bringing that divine magic into their lives. And I look forward to you all joining me again for another edition of A Little Divine Magic very soon. Take care, everyone. And again, thank you, Anna. Bye.
Thank you.